Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter, and this is going to be an audio-focused video, so you can tune out from the video. I'm just going to be looping some trailers and talking, but I want to talk about my stance going into the release for Monster Hunter Rise. This is going to be an interesting topic that I want to talk about because it deals with a lot of different things. Both my Monster Hunter journey with my daughter Yuna, my sort of post-mortem of content creation for Monster Hunter World, and also just my philosophy going into Monster Hunter Rise and my content rollout plan for its initial launch. So I guess I'll just start out with the heavy statement and then go into it. And the heavy statement is that regardless of whatever opportunity I may or may not be given, I'm not going to play Monster Hunter Rise until its release date of March 26. Now, what I mean is, and this is so early that I don't know how things are going to play out, so I can talk about this openly. As a content creator, I've been incredibly fortunate to be given the opportunity many times to get review copies of games, whether it's just to review a copy of a game before its release date so I can talk about it in more detail and with more nuance and understanding, or even just get a head start on sort of content creation ideas, things that can help the community out, things that could really help invigorate the player base from day one. And it's been a fantastic opportunity, but there are some pros and cons to it, and it ties very greatly into how I want to play this game with my daughter. And so basically what I'm saying is that even if I were to be given that opportunity for Monster Hunter Rise, I wouldn't take it. So that obviously affects how I would do rollout for videos on launch day, because I will have not played the game until launch day. But I think in the long run, it's going to be much better for the channel. I think you guys are going to get much better quality videos from me. And I think, yeah, it's going to be good. So the real motivating factor behind all of this, honestly, has been a discussion with my daughter, Yuna. So, as you guys know, she turns 12 soon. She's been exposed to Monster Hunter pretty much her whole life that she remembers. As soon as I've gotten into the series, she's seen me playing the game, talking about the game, going to events, so she knows Monster Hunter very well. But it's never been something that I shoved down her throat or tried to push her into, so to say. I let her play her own games, get into whatever she wants to get into. And I've always been secretly hoping that she'd get interested in mainstream Monster Hunter one of these days. Well, guess what? It happened. And I'll tell you right now, I pinch myself because it's kind of like a dream come true. So we played Feline Village Deluxe way back when on the PlayStation Portable. That's a Japan-only game, and had a ton of fun with that. We both played through all of Monster Hunter Stories twice. We both really enjoyed that game a lot. And as far as main games go, she's never really displayed too much of an interest. I think it's just because the controls seemed a little too complicated, and she's much more of a, I guess, mobile gamer than she is a console gamer. But recently she's gotten really good at games, and she's been playing a lot on the Switch. And so when they announced the demo for Monster Hunter Rise, she was interested. She says, I want to try it out. I think this is going to be my debut. And I was both excited and terrified because I really wanted her to like it, and I know that the demos for Monster Hunter are not good ways to experience the game for the very first time. But I also knew throwing her into something like Monster Hunter World or Iceborn, unless she was already decided she was going to get into it, it's so much to take in that I thought, okay, well, a demo could be a fun place to start. So she loves the monster Mizutsune. She always has. So when she saw that that was going to be in the demo, she's like, I want to hunt that. I guess to make this story short, she fell in love with Monster Hunter. She really enjoyed the demo. She incredibly likes the bow. She likes the hunting horn as well, and she can use the dual blades. The other weapons she hasn't really displayed too much interest in, although she did give them all an honest try, which is what I can say is more than most hunters out there, so I'm very proud of her for doing that. And she's taken down Mizutsune using every weapon. May have taken us a long time, but she did, and that allowed her to sort of give herself a judgment on each of the weapons and how she feels about them. So bow is definitely where she's gravitating. She loves that weapon. So we got to a point where we've sort of run out of stuff to play as we're waiting for the release of Monster Hunter Rise. And so I said, well, we've got two Xboxes now, which we never had before, because I bought the Series X and the Series S. And I said, well, you could play through World and Iceborn with me. And she's like, huh, I'd never even thought about that. So about 3 weeks ago, I'd say, and our save game is already at 110 hours. If that tells you anything. About three and a half weeks ago, we started playing Monster Hunter World and Iceborn together. I started a brand new Hunter save file. She started a new game, and we played it. And we could do it almost side by side because I'm playing in my room which is right next to the living room, and I can see her and we can talk, and we can see everything that we're doing. I've got it. I'm playing on my Mac through Elgato, and she's playing on the TV. And we played through all of Monster Hunter World and Iceborn, and we've really had a good time. Really had a good time. So that might be its own separate video, letting you guys know just her general thoughts, some learnings I've had, because it's very interesting seeing somebody firsthand play their first Monster Hunter game. And it's been very eye-opening, especially in the way that she has approached the weapon. Like seeing how she doesn't want to know all the complexity of the bow. She just wants to know the core abilities first. She wants to master those, and then she's like, okay, what's that one move again? And then she'll just start trying to work that in, and I think that's a really interesting approach, and it changes sort of the way that I think I might approach tutorials and the way I talk about stuff, because understanding the core of the weapon is so important than to just flood you with combos and all the different moves at your arsenal. And I've always tried to keep that in mind in my videos, but I think even more so now. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how I approach that. But one of the downfalls of us playing World and Iceborn together has been that I already have played the game in full. So when she hits story segments, it's not a shared experience. I've already seen them before, obviously. And I was, that game was not that well done for story when it came to doing it with 2 players at once. You kind of just have to watch the cutscenes separately and then you join the quest, which was really painful. But it just wasn't a shared experience because I already knew everything that was upcoming. There was no surprises for me. And she could tell, as much as I try to hide that or I don't talk about it, she could definitely tell if I was tuned in or out. And she really wanted, I think, a shared experience, which is what I'm going to give her in Rise and what she wants. So again, this brings us back to an incredibly presumptuous statement, which is, because I have no idea, what if, like the demo for Monster Hunter Rise, or maybe some other previous games in the past, I was given the opportunity to get an early preview copy of the game? Perhaps for myself or even her as well, would we be interested in doing that? So I talked to her about it, because I think that these things are important to think about, both from scheduling things, and just I wanted to know her feelings about it. And she brought up some really good points. One of them is that we've already ordered the game. Obviously, this happens with every content creator. You buy the game and then you might get an early copy. So you have 2 copies of the game, which is fine. But there's something special about pre-ordering a game and getting it in the mail or going to the store to buy it on release date, right? Like there's something special about that. And we've pre-ordered the limited edition copy. So we got the 2 like huge Palamute cushions coming in. And we got our copies of the game and a little calendar and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff for us to look forward to the morning of March 26th. It also happens to be her last day of school. In Japan, school ends in March and new school year begins in April. So she ends elementary school and she starts middle school in April. So that day is going to be her final day at school. And she's got a lot to really look forward then to coming home. And then me saying, hey, look what arrived in the mail. And we got Monster Hunter Rise to play. So that is a special thing that she didn't want to take it away. She's like, if we got the chance to play it early, even a day early, like if a store was selling it like a day or 2 early and we had the opportunity to buy it early, she's like, wouldn't that ruin the experience and the fun of waiting for it to come in the mail and then getting it and then opening it like everybody else on launch day and playing it? And you know what? She's right. It does. And it also got me thinking about my experience with Monster Hunter World, which was fantastic, but in retrospect, there's a few things that I wish I would have done a little bit differently. First off, when you get an early review copy or a preview copy, early release copy, whatever you want to call it, there's no strings attached. Like companies don't tell you like, okay, I want you to review the game or I want you to do this. They just say, hey, check it out. If you've got time, check it out, and you can, if you have any questions, let us know. But let's face it, I'm a Monster Hunter fanatic, so if you give me a copy of Monster Hunter and it's in my hands, I'm going to play the living daylights out of it. And it also made me and this is all projected from myself, I was so focused on finishing the game before release date because I wanted to give people a review. I wanted to say, hey, I've played through it and here are my thoughts after going through the experience, and I think maybe you might be interested to hear this if you're on the fence. That was fun, but then I think about it, it's like, I rushed through story to get to the end. So like in Monster Hunter World, I think I made the Puke weapons, and then I didn't make a new weapon until, gosh, I don't know, like Zora or something like that. So like Kuroyaku weapons or any of the early monsters or mid monsters, I never made any of their stuff because I was more focused on what I need to do to progress in the story. And when you do that, you sort of rob yourself of the experience of just, drinking a fine wine slow, taking it all in, enjoying crafting all the armor, because face it, that low rank armor is not going to be viable as you get further on in the game. So there's only a certain slice of time, a moment in which all the armor matters and it's fun to experiment with, and I completely blew it. Another really weird side effect of doing that was I had no one to play with for like 2 weeks. Because I was so far ahead in the game and no one else obviously in the world got the game, like regular consumers. So by the time the game was released, I couldn't go online and play with other people because I was overpowered, or there were no rooms because who else had finished the story? You know what I mean? And that kind of sucked, I'll be honest. I could have just started a new save, of course, and just played with everybody, but I'm not a person who really starts new saves in these types of games, especially with the RNG that's involved in something like Monster Hunter World. You get attached to certain decorations and things that you got during your playthrough that you don't want to just throw away just for the sake of saying, okay, now I'm going to go play it with everybody else, because you're already burnt out. You played through crazy before release date, you beat the game, you're in the post-game stuff. Starting all over is not really a proposition that I was interested in trying to do. So what it basically did, though, was give me an opportunity to focus on making videos. Again, this is a self-related issue. This is all me, and I could have probably changed it by thinking about it differently. But I felt this weird type of pressure from myself to make tutorials and videos like pronto, really fast. Like, I've always had the opportunity in the past where the games came out in Japan first, and then they came out in the West, so I always had the ability to slowly play through the game, enjoy it, and then by the time the Western release came, I already had the benefit of not only having played the game at my own leisure and pace, and played it a lot, but there was also all the different types of stuff that the community finds, because doing a good tutorial is more than just figuring out all the different inputs and then laying them all out in a nice way, even though that is a very important part of it. Part of the previous tutorials that I'm very happy with is that I'm able to leverage the work that the community has put in. There's lots of things that the Japanese community will figure out about a weapon. There's things that the Western community will figure out. And being able to leverage that type of knowledge and then put it in with my own experience is what makes, I think, the best type of tutorial. Because, some moves at the surface, at the start, could seem kind of like, okay, well, this is just a cool thing, but then you realize later on it's actually more significant than you thought. And you don't want to go back, and there's no way to go back to add it or talk about it differently. So now that I want to talk more about weapon philosophy, it's even more important, I think, that I have the ability of hindsight, being able to see everyone else's feedback and my own, put it together and make a tutorial, where I didn't have that in stuff like Monster Hunter World. That, and another thing that makes me a little worried, or just why I think I need to change my approach, is that we're seeing Silkbind attacks in the trailers that are not in the demo. And that reminds me greatly of Monster Hunter Generations, where we had Hunter Arts. And if you remember, you didn't have all the Hunter Hearts at the very start of the game, so it is very possible that the same thing may be in this game. If that's the case, that's going to mean there's going to be more content to grind through before you have access to everything in the game, and then you can give a really good, solid opinion about a weapon, because you really have to have hands-on time with all the different moves at your disposal. At least that was my experience with Monster Hunter Generations. Maybe it won't be like that. Maybe from the very start of the game, whatever's the weapon can do, maybe it'll all be there. That would be cool. Likewise, if you unlocked it, that would be sweet as well. It'd be like the carrot in front of the horse and giving you reason and momentum to move forward and do side quests if it unlocked cool stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what's going on there. But it's just little warning signs to me saying, don't rush it. Take your time, figure it out, leverage the community, find your own feedback, and do it when it's ready. So yeah, from a content creation standpoint, I think I want to not rush out tutorials this time, because honestly, Rise is going to be my life for like the next few years. I'm going to play it like crazy. I'm hoping and betting that there's going to be an ultimate release, probably similar to what they did with Iceborn. So yeah, this is going to be a very big deal for me, and a big deal for me and my daughter being able to play and enjoy this game. So there's no reason for me to rush out the content. That being said, I was way too late on some of the tutorials for Monster Hunter World, and I didn't even do tutorials for certain weapons. It's because I burnt myself out. I work full-time, I'm a single parent, so the fact that I even get and find time to play video games is kind of a miracle, and I've had to sacrifice sleep schedule and health to do that, and I'm at a point now where I've just turned 40. Honestly, my health could be a lot better, and I think that I need to start being a little bit more responsible when it comes to sleep schedules and stuff like that. So I need to pull it back a little bit, you know what I mean? And I think rushing to get out videos is a good way to burn yourself out. You know, if I was a full-time content creator, like a full-time YouTuber or streamer, this would not be much of an issue, because that would take, you know, that's 8 something hours of my day back. So I'd be able to plan it out and work on it, you know, at a more sustainable pace. But for someone like me who, you know, you work, you clean the house, you buy groceries, you make dinner, you talk to your child about their day, you try to do a little bit of exercise, you've only got like 2-3 hours left in your day. And that's for playing or content creation, so something's got to give, right? Luckily, I have been managing to really focus my time in the weekends, or times where my daughter has friends over or something like that, and I can create videos, so I don't think I'm going to be hindered on my ability to create content at all. In fact, I think, again, being able to play through the game at a more normal pace will make sure that I don't burn out, and it will give me, again, the advantages of all the community findings on all the weapons and intricacies, and then I can post videos. One of the things I've always enjoyed doing was that the Japanese community finds and picks up on different things that the Western community does, and being able to bridge that gap and to sort of see a trend or something that's really cool here, that's catching on, and then I can make a video about it. That's really fun. So anyways, this has been a very long and about way of saying that I'm going to take it a little bit slower, more deliberate, but I'm going to make better videos, and I'm going to be a little bit later. There's going to be a lot of people with great content on day one. A lot of great content creators out there, and I'm going to do my best to make videos as well, and make good ones. But it's going to be a little slower than most people at the start, but I hope you guys stick with me. I think you guys will enjoy the content that I plan to put out. And I do plan to make weapon tutorials for all 14 weapons, so no weapon will be left behind, so to say. And I'll make sure that I'm not too late on it, but I'm not going to rush it. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed just listening, hearing me rambling on about sort of, from a content creator standpoint, just the good points and the bad points of getting early access. It's not always awesome. It is very awesome in certain ways, especially if this was your business. But for someone who wants to consume this type of content constantly for the next few years, I think, you know, avoiding burnout is going to be a very important thing. And I'm just so excited to experience this game with Yuna. It's going to be amazing. She's going to get home from school. We're going to sit down and do some hunts together. I'm living the dream, guys. I mean, I don't know what else to say. And you know what? It's very possible we're going to get some father-daughter videos on this channel as well. She's displayed some interest in doing that. Maybe not on camera to start, but she's definitely very interested in being more vocal about her experience with Monster Hunter. And who knows, maybe when I get to the bow tutorial, maybe all that gameplay will be done by her, not me. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Anyways, let me know down below in the comments your thoughts on everything. I've decided what I'm going to do, and I feel really good about it. Hopefully this, guys, it gives you a small heads up into where I'm thinking. And honestly, I could not be more excited for the release of Monster Hunter Rise. It is shaping up to be the Monster Hunter game of my dreams. It's not all peachy. There are certain things that I could critique, and I will. But for me, this is exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to treat this like the gem it is and handle it with care. Anyways, hope you guys are all doing well, staying as healthy as you can considering the global situation, and hope you guys are getting ready for some really fun hunting in Monster Hunter Rise. Thanks for listening to this long video, and until next time, happy hunting.